In the age of social media, chasing the perfect shot is everything. But what is the cost? From a photographer who stepped too close to danger to adventurers capturing nature's raw power, these stories reveal the deadly price of risk-taking for the perfect photo. When passion meets danger, the consequences can be tragic. It was May 2, 2018. Prabhu Bhattara, a middle-aged taxi driver from Odisha, India, was driving two customers home from a wedding when he saw something he considered worth inspecting closer: an injured bear. Prabhu made a fatal decision that would soon become a grim reminder of the dangers of human recklessness in the presence of wildlife. What began as a routine drive home from a wedding ended in tragedy when an ill-fated attempt to capture a photograph cost him everything. On the evening of the incident, Prabhu was transporting passengers in his SUV when he stopped in a forested area of the Nabarangpur district to relieve himself. As he stepped away from the vehicle, he noticed a bear near a pond. The animal, believed to be injured, was resting, possibly in distress. Rather than keeping his distance, Prabhu made the fatal choice to approach it, determined to take a selfie. His passengers, who watched from the vehicle, realized what Prabhu wanted to do and warned him against getting too close. But Prabhu had already decided. He chose to ignore their protests and he moved toward the bear, phone in hand. He was ready for a selfie with the injured creature. What followed was swift and brutal. The bear, sensing a potential threat, reacted with its natural fight instinct. As Prabhu attempted to position himself near the animal, he slipped. In that instant, the bear seized the opportunity and lunged. With powerful swipes of its claws, it dragged him down, biting and clawing at him as he struggled to escape. Witnesses, including his passengers, could do nothing but watch in horror. Some attempted to intervene from a distance, shouting and throwing objects in a desperate attempt to distract the bear. Even a stray dog tried to save Prabhu. The dog rushed at the predator, barking and attempting to bite it, but the bear remained undeterred. Within moments, Prabhu Bhattara succumbed to the attack, while bystanders filmed the attack. His injuries were severe and he was pronounced dead at the scene. Authorities later arrived to secure the area, but there was nothing that could be done to save him. The bear had to be tranquilized in order for Prabhu's body to be retrieved. It is believed that the bear involved in the attack was a sloth bear, a species known for its aggressive nature, especially when dealing with humans. Sloth bears are native to the Indian subcontinent and are one of the most dangerous bear species when it comes to human encounters. Unlike other bears that typically avoid confrontation, sloth bears are known to react defensively, often attacking humans who venture too close. Their aggression is largely due to their instinctive response to perceived threats, much like their reaction to natural predators such as tigers and leopards. Due to their habitat overlapping with densely populated areas, sloth bear attacks in India are not uncommon, with many cases resulting in severe injury or death. Prabhu's death was the third selfie-related fatality in the Odisha region within months, underscoring the growing trend of risky behavior in pursuit of social media content. Previous incidents involved individuals attempting to take selfies with wild elephants, with similarly fatal consequences. India has recorded the highest number of selfie-related deaths in the world, with many incidents occurring in dangerous locations or involving risky interactions with wildlife. The incident serves as a tragic warning about the consequences of disregarding safety around wild animals. Prabhu's decision to approach the injured bear, despite clear warnings and the visible signs of danger, ultimately cost him his life. His death is yet another reminder of the fatal consequences of underestimating the instincts of wild animals. It was the summer of 2014. Like many young people, 21-year-old Oscar Otero Aguilar from Mexico wanted to make the most of the summer. But what started as a night of drinking and having fun with friends took a tragic turn for Oscar, when what seemed like a harmless attempt to take a selfie turned into a preventable nightmare, and what was meant to be just another social media post became a fatal misjudgment, one that would leave his family and friends in shock and prompt widespread criticism online. Oscar, a young man from northern Mexico City, was known to be active on social media. His Facebook page featured images of him posing with cars and enjoying nights out with friends, often surrounded by alcohol. He had a fondness for capturing moments and sharing them with his online friends. However, his love for photography and social media led him to make a fatal mistake. On the night of the incident, Oscar had been drinking with two friends, Omar Abner Campos Vives and another individual known only by the nickname El Paco. The three were enjoying themselves, laughing, drinking, and taking pictures. At some point during the night, Oscar came up with a seemingly exciting idea. He wanted to take a photo holding a gun. The image was meant for Facebook, another addition to the collection of snapshots that documented his social life. However, things quickly took a dark turn. The gun in question was a wood-handled .45 caliber pistol. Oscar Otero Aguilar picked it up, ready to take the picture. Unaware or indifferent to the dangers of handling a loaded weapon while intoxicated, he held the gun close to his head, attempting to frame frame the perfect shot. In the process, he accidentally pulled the trigger. A single gunshot rang out, piercing the night and sending a wave of panic through the household. The bullet struck Oscar in the forehead. Nearby, his friends were stunned. A neighbor, Manfredo Paes, recalled hearing the gunfire followed by a scream. Realizing that someone had been hurt, he immediately contacted the authorities. When police arrived, they found Oscar still alive but gravely wounded. Despite emergency efforts, he succumbed to his injuries at the scene. The aftermath of the incident unfolded quickly. Police arrested Omar, who was present at the time of the shooting, while El Paco managed to flee before authorities arrived. The Ministry of Public Security later confirmed that Oscar's death appeared to be accidental. An autopsy was scheduled to determine the full extent of his injuries. While tragic, Oscar's case is not unique. Accidental firearm deaths are a significant issue, particularly in countries with high gun ownership rates. In the United States, an estimated 37% of gunshot injuries result from accidental shootings. These incidents encompass a variety of situations: firearms discharging while being cleaned, hunting accidents, stray bullets striking unintended targets, and tragic mishaps like Oscar's. Although the overall rate of firearm deaths in the U.S. has risen in recent years, accidental gun deaths have seen a decline over the past 25 years, largely due to increased awareness and safety regulations. Oscar's death, however, underscored a different and growing problem: the increasing risks associated with social media-driven behavior. His case was not an isolated one. Globally, there have been numerous reports of individuals suffering fatal injuries while attempting to capture daring or dangerous selfies. Many internet users were quick to criticize Oscar's decision to pose with a loaded firearm, arguing that the tragedy could have been easily avoided. His death served as a stark reminder of the deadly consequences of reckless behavior, particularly when alcohol, firearms, and social media are involved. What began as a night of fun among friends ended in a senseless loss of life. Oscar's final moments were defined by an avoidable mistake, one that left those who knew him grieving and the public questioning the length some will go for the perfect photo. In 2024, Cynthia Nayeli Higuereta Bermejo was a young model seeking to capture a thrilling and unusual photo, but her ambition and her passion for modeling cost her everything. What was meant to be an artistic and striking photo shoot turned fatal within seconds, leaving witnesses in shock and raising serious concerns about the dangers of taking risks, even in pursuit of art. At 30 years old, Cynthia Nayeli Higuereta Bermejo was a Venezuelan model who had been living in Tlajomulco de Zuniga, Mexico. Passionate about photography and modeling, she often took part in photo sessions designed to create dramatic and visually striking images. On this particular day, she had planned a shoot that would incorporate a fast-moving train as the backdrop, hoping to capture a sense of power and motion in the final images. The photo shoot took place in Zacoalco de Torres, a town near Guadalajara in western Mexico. Accompanied by a photographer and several other individuals, Cynthia stood near the railway tracks as they set up the shot. The idea was to position her close enough to the passing train to create a dramatic effect without actually stepping onto the tracks. As the locomotive approached at more than 180 kilometers per hour, she continued to pose, believing she was at a safe distance. But Cynthia was gravely mistaken. As she posed, the train thundered past. It all happened in a flash. The sheer force of the train's movement created a powerful air current. This sudden pull was strong enough to catch hold of Cynthia's clothing, dragging her violently under the train. The impact was immediate and devastating. Cynthia's team could do nothing but watch in horror as the accident unfolded in a matter of seconds. To try and help her would have been a death sentence. They quickly called for help. Emergency services arrived quickly, but there was nothing they could do. Cynthia had died instantly, her life cut tragically short by her passion. Her body was found just a few centimeters from the tracks, alongside a tripod and other photography equipment. Authorities immediately launched an investigation, collecting statements from those present at the shoot to piece together the sequence of events leading to the tragic accident. Jalisco State Prosecutor Joaquin Mendez Ruiz confirmed that Cynthia's death appeared to be a terrible accident. Based on witness accounts, it was determined that Cynthia had miscalculated the safe distance required to avoid the train's powerful slipstream. The force had been strong enough to entangle her clothing, pulling her into the locomotive's path and causing fatal injuries. Her remains were taken from the tracks and sent for an autopsy before being handed over to her family for burial. The investigation into the circumstances surrounding her death remains ongoing, but authorities have not indicated any foul play. Cynthia's death serves as a grim reminder of the dangers associated with taking risks near railway tracks. While photo shoots in unconventional locations have become increasingly popular, particularly in the age of social media, they come with serious hazards. Her tragic passing is not the first of its kind. Around the world, accidents involving individuals attempting to take dramatic photographs or selfies near moving trains have led to similar fatal outcomes. Despite repeated warnings from railway authorities and safety campaigns emphasizing the dangers of standing too close to tracks, many continue to underestimate the risks. What began as an attempt to create a compelling image ended in a devastating loss. Cynthia's story serves as a cautionary tale about the fine line between artistic ambition and personal safety. Her death highlights the critical need for awareness and responsibility when working in hazardous environments, ensuring that no photograph is ever worth the ultimate price. In May 2016, Jia Lijun, a businessman visiting Shishiaku Wildlife Park in Rongcheng, China, sought to make the most of his trip by capturing photos and videos of the park's diverse wildlife. Traveling alone, he wanted to share the pictures with his friends, showing them glimpses of the animals housed within the park's free-range coastal environment. As he moved through the exhibits, his excitement grew, particularly when he reached the walrus enclosure. Like many visitors, he was fascinated by the enormous marine mammal and wanted a closer look. However, his attempt to take a selfie near the walrus would lead to a tragic and irreversible chain of events. As soon as he began his visit, Jia started enthusiastically sending pictures and videos of the animals to his friends. He seemed especially eager to document his experience with the walrus, unaware of the potential danger. Walruses are large marine mammals primarily found in Arctic regions. They are social animals known for their intelligence and close bonds with their herd. While they are not naturally aggressive toward humans, their immense size, often exceeding a ton, means that even playful interactions can be dangerous. Other park visitors saw Jia positioning himself near the enclosure with his back to the animal, focusing on his phone as he captured a selfie. The picture shows Jia looking down and smiling at the massive animal. He had no idea what was about to happen. The walrus, weighing approximately 1.5 tons, approached Jia from behind, wrapped its powerful flippers around him, and dragged him into the water. From outside, it looked like the animal was playing. For a second, witnesses believed the walrus was merely interacting with the visitor. However, as Jia was pulled beneath the surface, it became clear that he was in distress. As chaos erupted among the spectators, Duan, the walrus's longtime keeper, quickly attempted to intervene. Duan had cared for the walrus for over a decade, raising it from a young age and developing a close bond with the animal. Witnesses saw him try to use bamboo poles to rescue Jia, hoping to prompt the walrus to release its grip. When these efforts failed, Duan made the decision to enter the water himself, determined to save the struggling man despite the danger. Tragically, as soon as Duan entered the pool, the walrus turned its attention to him. It rushed toward him, wrapped him in a similar embrace, and dragged him under as well. Despite being described as a strong swimmer by his colleagues, Duan was unable to escape. The sheer size and strength of the walrus proved overwhelming. Both men were held tightly as the animal moved through the water, submerging them repeatedly. By the time additional zoo staff arrived and managed to intervene, it was too late. Jia and Duan had both drowned, victims of the walrus's immense power. The deaths of both the businessman and the dedicated keeper left park staff and visitors in shock. The incident sparked widespread discussion and criticism, particularly regarding safety measures at the wildlife park. Many questioned why there were no barriers preventing close contact between visitors and the walrus. On Chinese social media platforms such as Weibo, users voiced concerns about the lack of protective measures at zoos, with some arguing that accidents like this were preventable. Jia's friend Wu later expressed his disbelief, recalling how Jia had been happily sending videos just minutes before his tragic death. The zoo accepted responsibility for the accident and agreed to compensate Jia's family with 900,000 yuan, approximately $137,000. However, many believe this did little to address the core issue, the absence of sufficient safety precautions. The incident reignited discussions about wildlife tourism and human interaction with large animals. Some experts weighed in, emphasizing that walruses, though not typically aggressive, are immensely strong creatures capable of causing unintentional harm. Duan's colleagues noted that the walrus at Shishiaku Wildlife Park had developed a strong attachment to its keeper, and its actions may have been misinterpreted as affection rather than aggression. Whether the walrus intended to harm the men or was simply engaging in what it perceived as play remains unclear, but the consequences were fatal. Despite the tragedy, the walrus attraction at the park remained open, further fueling debate over the zoo's responsibility. Some argued that greater restrictions should be placed on interactions between humans and powerful animals, while others blamed visitors for underestimating the risks. The incident also added to the growing concern over selfie-related deaths, as more people put themselves in danger in pursuit of the perfect photo. Ultimately, the deaths of Jia Lijun and Duan underscored the unpredictable nature of wildlife encounters, even within controlled environments. What began as an ordinary visit to a zoo ended in a devastating loss, serving as a grim reminder that no matter how familiar humans may become with animals, their instinctive behaviors can still pose significant risks. On October 26, 2024, Amanda Gallagher was doing what she loved, capturing moments of exhilaration and adventure, when an unimaginable accident occurred. The 37-year-old professional photographer from Wichita, Kansas, was at Cook Airfield in Darby, documenting skydivers as they boarded and landed from their jumps. Her passion for both photography and skydiving had led her to this moment, but in a tragic turn of events, a routine day at the airfield ended in devastation. Amanda had built a reputation as a talented and creative photographer. Friends described her as kind, adventurous, and full of life, always eager to embrace new experiences. Recently, she had discovered skydiving and quickly became enamored with the sport, sharing her excitement online. Just weeks before the accident, she had completed her first solo jump, calling it the best feeling ever. Her newfound love for skydiving complemented her photography, allowing her to capture breathtaking images of others experiencing the thrill of freefall. On that fateful afternoon, Amanda was at Air Capital Drop Zone, an event held at Cook Airfield, documenting skydivers as they prepared for their jumps. She had been on board a Cessna 182 photographing a group of jumpers. After they exited the aircraft, she remained inside and rode the plane back to the ground. Once the plane landed, the next group of skydivers began boarding. It was during this transition that the accident occurred. The Cessna 182 remained grounded but was still running, with its propeller spinning. According to the Air Capital Drop Zone, Amanda, with her camera raised to take a shot, moved forward and stepped past the wing, an area she should not have entered. While focusing on her photography, she unknowingly stepped back and made contact with the moving propeller. The consequences were devastating. Amanda was gravely injured. Emergency responders were called to the airfield at approximately 2:40 p.m. Amanda sustained critical injuries and was quickly transported to Wesley Medical Center by air ambulance. Despite efforts to save her, she succumbed to her injuries. Her death left the skydiving and photography communities in shock. Friends, colleagues, and fellow skydivers took to social media to express their grief, remembering her as a talented artist and a warm, gentle presence. A GoFundMe campaign was launched to assist her family with funeral expenses, raising thousands of dollars as people came together to honor her memory. The accident also led to discussions about safety procedures at airfields. Moving into the path of an active propeller is a well-known hazard, and the incident raised questions about how such a tragedy could have been prevented. While some mourners focused on Amanda's life and legacy, others empathized with the pilot who had been at the controls of the aircraft, recognizing the trauma of witnessing such an event. Authorities, including the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the National Transportation Safety Board, launched an investigation into the circumstances surrounding Amanda's death. Statements from the Air Capital Drop Zone emphasized that stepping in front of the wing was a violation of basic safety protocols, though it remained unclear what had caused her to move in that direction. Though her life was cut short, Amanda left behind a legacy of passion and creativity. Her photographs captured moments of joy, freedom, and adventure, expressions of a life well lived. Those who knew her continue to remember her not only for her talent, but for her warmth, kindness, and fearless pursuit of the things that made her happiest.